Zebb Quinn was 18 years old. He worked at the Walmart in Asheville, North Carolina. He was a pretty normal kid. He had friends, a family that loved him, and a job. He was thinking about his future. On January 2nd, 2000, he finished his shift at the electronics counter. He seemed happy. He told a coworker he was going to look at a car he wanted to buy, a Mitsubishi Eclipse. He was excited about it. After work, he met up with his friend Robert Jason Owens. Owens was a coworker from Walmart. He was a bit older, 21 at the time. The plan was for them to go together to see the car in a town called Leicester, not far from Asheville. Zebb drove his car, a light blue Mazda Protege. Owens got in another car and followed him. They didn't go straight to Leicester. First, they stopped at a gas station on Hendersonville Road. They bought sodas. We know this because of the convenience store's security camera. The footage is grainy, black and white. It's the last time anyone saw Zebb Quinn alive, besides the person who was with him. The timestamp on the video is about 9:15 p.m. They walk in, buy their drinks, and walk out. Everything looks normal. Nothing seems wrong. Then, things got weird. According to Robert Jason Owens, after they left the gas station, Zebb flashed his headlights. It was a signal to pull over. Zebb told Owens he had just received a page. This was the year 2000. E-pagers were still common. Zebb seemed agitated, Owens said. He told Owens he had to go make a phone call. He drove off to find a payphone. Owens waited. A few minutes later, Zebb came back. Owens said he was driving his Mazda erratically. He sped into the parking lot where Owens was waiting. He almost hit Owens' truck. Owens said Zebb looked panicked. He told Owens he had to leave. He had to go. He said he couldn't explain. He just had to go. Owens then told police a very specific and strange story. He said that as Zebb was about to leave, he rear-ended Owens' truck. It wasn't a bad accident, just a tap, but it was odd. Why would a panicked person, in a hurry to leave, stop to do that? Then Zebb just drove away. Owens said he turned left, Zebb turned right, and that was it. That was the last time Owens saw his friend. The next day, Zebb didn't show up for his shift at Walmart. This was not like him. He was a reliable employee. His family started to worry. His mother, Denise Lahakis, knew something was wrong. Zebb wasn't the kind of kid to just disappear. He wouldn't leave without telling her. She called the police and reported him missing. The police started their investigation. The first person they talked to was Robert Jason Owens. He was the last person known to have seen Zebb. He told them the story about the page, the phone call, and the fender bender. And he said Zebb just drove off into the night. It was a strange story, but it was all they had. The police asked Owens if he was hurt in this supposed fender bender. Owens claimed he was. He said he broke some ribs and had a head injury. He even showed up at Walmart the next day with a bandage on his head. He told people he'd been in a car accident, but when police checked with the local hospitals, there was no record of Robert Jason Owens being treated for any injuries that night. Not for broken ribs, not for a head injury, nothing. That was the first big lie. 2 days after Zebb disappeared, the police got a call. It was from a man who worked at a local hospital. He said he had received a strange phone call at the hospital's front desk. The caller claimed to be Zebb Quinn. He said he was calling to report that he wouldn't be at work for a few days because he was sick. The call was traced. It didn't come from Zebb. It came from the Volvo construction plant in Asheville, where Robert Jason Owens worked. This was another major red flag pointing directly at Owens. He was inserting himself into the case in a bizarre way. Why would he do that? Why would he pretend to be Zebb? The case sat like that for a couple of weeks. A missing person, a friend with a strange story, and no solid leads. Zebb's family was desperate. They put up flyers, they talked to the news, they just wanted their son back. Then, on January 6th, 2 weeks after he vanished, Zebb's car was found. It was parked in the parking lot of the Little Pigs BBQ restaurant. The restaurant was right next to the hospital where Zebb's mother worked. This felt deliberate. It felt like a message. But the scene was far stranger than just the location. On the back window of the Mazda, someone had drawn a giant pair of lips and an exclamation point. It was done with pink or red lipstick. It was a cartoonish, bizarre detail. Inside the car, police found a jacket that didn't belong to Zebb. They found a hotel key card from a hotel nearby. They found drink bottles. But the strangest thing of all was in the front seat. It was a live puppy, a black Labrador mix. The puppy was healthy, it was just sitting there. Who leaves a live puppy in a missing person's car? It made no sense. It felt like something out of a movie, a piece of a puzzle that didn't fit with any other piece. It seemed designed to confuse, to throw the police off track. The lipstick, the puppy, the hotel key. It was a collection of bizarre, almost theatrical clues. Police investigated them all. The hotel key led nowhere. They couldn't trace it to anyone connected to the case. The jacket wasn't Zebb's. The puppy, which was eventually adopted by one of the investigators, offered no clues. The lipstick drawing was just Oh, weird. It was a taunt, a symbol with no clear meaning. It was like the person responsible was playing a game. The focus naturally returned to Robert Jason Owens. His story didn't add up. His supposed injuries were fake. The phone call to Zebb's work came from his own workplace. But police didn't have enough to arrest him for anything more than filing a false police report. They had strong suspicions, but no body, no murder weapon, no confession. They couldn't prove Zebb was dead, let alone that Owens had killed him. The police kept digging. They found out more about Zebb's life. They learned he had a crush on a girl named Misty Taylor. Misty was also a coworker at Walmart. Zebb had told friends he was interested in her. But Misty had a boyfriend, a man named Wesley Smith. And by all accounts, Wesley was not a nice guy. He was described as abusive and possessive. He was jealous of any man who even looked at Misty. This opened up a new theory, the love triangle. Did Zebb's interest in Misty get him into trouble? Did her jealous boyfriend Wesley have something to do with his disappearance? This theory gained a lot of traction when police traced the page Zebb received that night. The page didn't come from a random number. It came from the home of Misty Taylor's aunt, Ina Eustace. When police questioned Ina, she said that Misty had been at her house that evening. She said Misty and Wesley had been there. She claimed Misty was the one who made the call. She said Misty seemed to be arranging to meet Zebb. So police went to Misty. They asked her if she paged Zebb that night. She denied it. She said she was with Wesley the whole time. She claimed she had nothing to do with it. Wesley also denied everything. He had an alibi. He said he was with Misty. So now, the police had another puzzle. Ina, the aunt, said Misty made the page. Misty said she didn't. Someone was lying. Could Wesley Smith have forced Misty to page Zebb, luring him into a trap? It was a plausible scenario. Wesley had a motive jealousy. He had a reputation for violence. Maybe Zebb went to meet Misty, and Wesley was waiting for him. But if that were true, where did Robert Jason Owens fit in? Was he involved? Was he just a witness who was scared to talk? Or was his story a complete fabrication to cover for himself? And what about the lipstick and the puppy? A jealous rage killing usually isn't so theatrical. It's violent and messy. The clues in the car felt cold, calculated, and designed to mislead. It didn't feel like a crime of passion committed by an angry boyfriend. It felt like something else. The police were stuck. They had a prime suspect in Robert Jason Owens, whose stories were full of holes. They had a second plausible theory involving Misty Taylor and Wesley Smith. And they had a car full of strange clues that didn't seem to point to anyone in particular. They searched Owens' property. They found a few strange things buried in his yard under a layer of concrete. But at the time, forensic technology wasn't what it is today. They found fibers and hairs, but couldn't definitively link them to Zebb Quinn. The case went cold. For years, nothing happened. Zebb's mother, Denise, never gave up hope. She kept his story alive in the media. She organized searches. She begged for anyone with information to come forward. But the trail was dead. Zebb Quinn was just gone. His story became one of Asheville's most haunting mysteries. A young man, a mysterious page, and a car with lipstick and a puppy left behind. It was a ghost story with no ending. People in the community talked. Was it a drug deal gone wrong? Was it the jealous boyfriend? Was it his friend, Jason Owens? The theories were endless, but the facts were few. The case was passed from detective to detective. The files grew thicker, but the answers were no closer. 15 years went by. An entire generation grew up in Asheville knowing the story of Zebb Quinn. It felt like one of those cases that would never be solved, the kind that ends up in an old file cabinet, a permanent question mark. Then, in March 2015, everything changed. A married couple, Cristie and J.T, and Cod were reported missing. Cristie was a popular contestant on the reality TV show Food Network Star. She was pregnant, their family was worried, they hadn't heard from them. Police went to their home in the town of Leicester, the same area where Zebb was supposedly going to look at a car all those years ago. Inside the Cod's home, there were signs of a struggle. It was clear something violent had happened. Police quickly developed a suspect. A man had been seen driving the Cod's SUV and trying to sell items from their home. He had worked for them, doing odd jobs as a handyman. His name was Robert Jason Owens. The same Robert Jason Owens from the Zebb Quinn case. He was arrested. At first, he told a story. He said he was just helping the Cods. He said JT had accidentally killed his wife, and then, in a panic, JT had asked Owens to help him. Owens said JT then killed himself. It was a wild, unbelievable story. It was another one of Owens' lies. The police didn't believe him for a second. They got a warrant to search his property. The same property they had searched 15 years earlier. This time, their search was more extensive. They brought in heavy equipment, they dug deep, and they found human remains. They were the bodies of Cristie and J.T. Cod. Owens had murdered them and dismembered their bodies. He had burned them in a wood stove. The details were horrific. It showed a level of brutality and coldness that was hard to comprehend. The Cod murder case was open and shut. Owens was the killer, but as police searched his property for evidence related to the Cods, they decided to look for something else too. They decided to look for Zebb Quinn. During the search, they found a pit. In that pit, they found more than just the remains of the Cods. They found other items. They found fragments of hard plastic. They found fabric that looked like it came from a coat. They found what appeared to be leather from a pair of boots. And they found what looked like artificial hair extension. The investigators on the Zebb Quinn case remembered that Zebb sometimes wore a specific kind of jacket. They remembered details about what he was wearing the night he disappeared. They sent the items they found for DNA testing. The results came back. The hard plastic fragments contained DNA. It matched Zebb Quinn. After 15 years of silence, they had finally found him. Or at least, what was left of him. He had been on Owens' property all along. With this new evidence, police could finally connect Robert Jason Owens directly to the disappearance and death of Zebb Quinn. They charged him with first-degree murder. Faced with the DNA evidence and already facing life in prison for the Cod murders, Owens finally started to talk. But he didn't confess to murder. He told another story, a new one. He tried to paint himself as a victim, a terrified bystander who was forced to participate in something horrible. In this new version of the story, Owens claimed that Zebb was involved in something dangerous. He said Zebb was selling drugs for some powerful people. He claimed that the night Zebb disappeared, the mysterious page was real. But it wasn't from a girl, it was from these dangerous people. Owens claimed that when he and Zebb met up later, Zebb wasn't alone. There was another man with him, a man Owens claimed was Misty Taylor's uncle. He said this uncle was involved in the drug trade with Zebb. Owens alleged that he witnessed this uncle shoot and kill Zebb Quinn. He then claimed that the uncle, at gunpoint, forced him to help get rid of the evidence. He said he was forced to drive Zebb's car to the barbecue restaurant. He said he was forced to help bury and burn Zebb's body on his property. It was a detailed story, but police didn't believe it. It had all the hallmarks of another one of Owens' self-serving lies. He was trying to shift the blame to make himself seem less guilty. There was no evidence to support his claim about Misty's uncle being involved. It seemed like he was just picking a name, someone he knew was connected to the case, to try to create reasonable doubt. The police believed that Owens had acted alone. They believed he killed Zebb Quinn on the night of January 2nd, 2000. So, what really happened? What was the motive? The police and Zebb's family believed it was likely jealousy, but not over a girl. It was about money. Zebb had just gotten his paycheck from Walmart. He was known to carry cash. He was going to buy a car. Owens was known to have financial problems. The simplest explanation is often the correct one. And Robert Jason Owens likely robbed and murdered his friend for a few $100s. But that doesn't explain everything. It doesn't explain the page. It doesn't explain the lipstick and the puppy. And let's look at those elements again, but this time through the lens of what we now know about Robert Jason Owens. We know he is a liar. We know he is a brutal, cold-blooded killer capable of dismembering a pregnant woman. He is not just a simple thief, he is a monster. The page was likely part of Owens' plan. He probably made the page himself. He knew Zebb had a crush on Misty Taylor. He knew a page from her or someone connected to her would get Zebb's attention. He could have used a pager and phone at a different location to set it up. The page was the lure. It was the excuse to get Zebb to pull over, to get him into a vulnerable position. The story Owens told the police right after the disappearance about Zebb being frantic about the fender bender was all a performance. It was a preemptive story to cover his tracks. He was planting a narrative from the very beginning. And the lipstick and the puppy? That was pure, cold-hearted misdirection. Owens knew the police would investigate Misty Taylor and Wesley Smith. The lipstick on the car was a giant, screaming clue pointing right at a woman. It was meant to make police focus on the love triangle theory. It was a brilliant, if psychopathic, move. It sent the investigation down a rabbit hole for years. The puppy is the most chilling part. It's so random, so human, in the middle of such an inhuman act. Maybe he found it. Maybe he stole it. But placing it in the car served a purpose. It made the scene even more bizarre. It made it seem like the work of someone unhinged, maybe a strange woman, not a coworker who just wanted to steal some cash. It added a layer of chaos that obscured the simple, greedy motive underneath. It was all a show. A performance by a killer who thought he was smarter than everyone else. And for 15 years, he was right. He got away with it. In 2017, Robert Jason Owens, already serving 2 life sentences for the murders of Cristie and J.T. went to court for the murder of Zebb Quinn. He didn't go to trial. He took a plea deal. He pleaded guilty to being an accessory, after the fact to first-degree murder. He didn't admit to being the killer, but he admitted to his involvement in disposing of the body. In exchange, the murder charge was dropped. He was given an additional 12 to 15 years in prison. For the courts, the case was closed, but for Zebb's family, it's not truly closed. A plea deal means no trial. No trial means the full story is never told in court. The evidence is never laid out for a jury. Owens never has to take the stand and explain, under oath, exactly what he did that night. The family never gets the satisfaction of hearing a jury declare him guilty of murder. They just have his final, unbelievable story about a drug deal gone wrong, a story no one believes. What happened to Zebb Quinn after he got that mysterious page? The answer is grim and simple. He was lured into a trap by someone he trusted. He was murdered by his coworker, Robert Jason Owens. His body was dismembered, burned, and buried in a shallow grave on Owens' property. His car was turned into a bizarre piece of theater, a rolling collection of red herrings designed to send police on a wild goose chase. The lipstick on the car wasn't a clue from a jealous lover. It was a lie painted on glass. The puppy wasn't a sign of a compassionate or conflicted killer. It was a prop used to create confusion. The mysterious page wasn't a call for a secret meeting with a girl. It was the beginning of a meticulously planned and brutally executed murder. For 15 years, Owens lived his life. He worked. He had relationships. He walked around as a free man with the secret of what he did buried in his own backyard. He might have gotten away with it forever if he hadn't killed again. His own darkness, his own compulsion for violence, was what ultimately led to his downfall. In the end, the monster revealed himself, and in doing so, he finally gave an answer, however incomplete and unsatisfying, to the question that had haunted a family and a community for more than a decade: what happened to Zebb Quinn.